Hey, you crazy cats! 42's live streams and videos are simply not available on vinyl. You will have to go to the YouTubes for that. So if you want content about British traditions and culture, cutting edge social commentary from an unapologetically patriotic perspective, along with a side order of madness you simply will not find anywhere else, then this is the place for you. And to all those early adapters in the chat, don't forget to hit the notification bell. That's how you get the good stuff, and make sure you never miss a tasty treat. So with that being said and done, squeeze yourself in. Let's get into it. You know you want to. What the fuck? Get on that stage, please. There we go. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Please delete as applicable because the internet is worldwide and time zones are indeed a thing. Mr. Tricky Woo, the one person we've got in so far. Well, there's another person in, but they're not in the comments. Could you give me a little audio check, please, and let me know if this is indeed going out live to the nation and anyone wants to check in. Now, this is all a little bit unplanned and impromptu, and as much as a regularly Saturday night show can be impromptu, and the sound is good. Thank you, Mr. Tricky Woo. I'll explain what happened. So, this week on Friday night, Anglo, evening, brother. What about you, chum? I think you might enjoy this impromptu stuff because I have a feeling there's going to be a shitload of poetry. I have a feeling that's where this is going to go, but I honestly don't know. Right, so I'll tell you what happened. There's another people are coming in. It's fucking amazing. Right, so Emma G and I were out on Friday night to see the Shawshank Redemption play in Belfast. We also stayed overnight in a very fancy pants hotel. On really, brother, on really. We stayed overnight in a very fancy pants hotel. So and I've been on night shift. I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you how everything went this week. One momento. Right, okay. Yes. Emma G and I were out at a very fancy pants. We went to the theatre and watched the Shawshank Redemption, and then we stayed in a very fancy pants theatre. I was in night shift, and I didn't get any real prep done last week. And then today, my friend Luke, who lives in Australia, arrived in with his partner, and I went up and met them this afternoon whenever they had come in, and we went for fish and chips. It was all very good, had a really good chat, but none of that allows for organizing a fucking live stream. So the organization is at a very, very low ebb this week, but that's just how things go. But anyway, there's 5 people in. We've got a stream going, and we will figure this all out as we go along. Where else will I start with? I will start with some shout outs, as I always do. I will take a wild guess that Ragnar Orangespear will be streaming tomorrow evening. I believe at 7 o'clock. I would take a wild guess that he's got a guest on. I'm not sure whether or not Jack London will be there or not. I really don't know what the hell's going on over there, but I do know they have a regular stream, so I'm going to continue to shout it out. The other people that I'd like to give a shout out to, one being Robin, Courage is a Cure, an Australian girl who keeps you up to date with all that's going on in the world of woke. And the counterpart, Rich from RPW Media, who does the same thing coming out of America. So you've got all the hemispheres covered and lots of news from that. The other person I'd like to give a shout out to, that's Boss. That welcome aboard, Boss, and we will look that up because I'm not familiar with that. So we will definitely be doing that, and we'll have a look, uh, and we will have a look at that. And thank you for coming along. Yes, the other one I'd like to give a shout out to is Mr. Dave Waffle and his Waffle House, with the home of the Friday night duck race, the best duck race on the internet. There are many ways that you can get ducks. You can get ducks through interacting with the stream. You can get ducks from by commenting on previous streams when they stay up, and you can also buy ducks. And on a Friday night, the ducks all race, and one duck wins, and that person will then enter onto the Wheel of Doom. The Wheel of Doom will spin, and a prize will be allocated, and that goes. Anglo, I have no freaking clue. Last night, while the while the duck race was ongoing, I was personally in the Grand Opera House, Belfast, watching a play version of The Shawshank Redemption. I will actually talk a bit about that because it was quite interesting, and I do have a revelation about that, or epiphany, or whatever. There was something that the night then took a little bit of a turn down, but we are where we are after that. But what I discovered was right. So because I was out of that, I was not in the Waffle House, so I have no knowledge whatsoever about who won last night or anything. Yes, they did do. See, there was no live sex there, but there was scenes about prison rape, both anal and oral, and they also did the scene where he talked about having the bite reaction, and they decided not to put anything into his mouth. They also did they obviously did the scene with the beer, and it was all done very well. Uh, the set was really good. They had the sails off the sides, and you had people coming out of the sails, and then for the main bits, they had a drop down backdrop where it shows you the inside of Andy's sail and whatnot. And the guy that done Morgan Freeman's part did a really good job. Red. It was actually very good. One thing that I did realize was that if I was whenever if I go back to prior to all the shitty shit that appeared in my life, made a really bad choice and ended up with a lunatic for a partner. Prior to that, my go-to form of entertainment would have been live theatre, and it's been a hell of a journey, but I've ended up back there somehow. We are, in essence, all of us are quite elastic, and provided we're not broken, we will snap back to our previous shape, and that's what seems to have happened with me. And with a lot of assistance from a lot of people, most notably the wonderful Emma G. Uh, so there you go. There's that. I may get my thoughts in order and actually write some stuff about that. Broken Silence, what about you, chum? Welcome aboard. Uh, no real idea exactly what. There is no plan. We're winging it. We're not quite sure where this is all going to go. So there's that. Nah. Yeah. What Anglo says, hit the like button. Interaction always helps. Maybe move this out a bit. Uh, other than that, I'm not quite sure what all we're going to end up talking about tonight. Feel free to put random topics in the chat, and I will talk about those. I will. Now, and there's Amsen. What about you, chum? Welcome aboard. Uh, we're going to have a quick look for this poem. 1 second. Okay. I am a poem by John Clare. Right. I have found it and I'm going to present it. No, I'm on a. I'm literally on a kitchen breakfast bar stool. You know, one of those ones with the adjustable height and hydraulics and stuff. That's what I'm literally on. But I am actually running this whole fucking stream. The band or the torture device, Lumi? What the fuck? All right. Iron Maiden discuss. Yes, right. Fuck, that's cool. What instrument are you learning to play that on? Out of curiosity. I'm guessing it's some sort of keyboard. The Spanish chicken's in. And Lumi's in. Ah, Broken Silence is learning Phantom of the Opera on guitar. That's cool. That is cool. I am the least musically gifted person in the world. I'm lucky that I can play a fucking radio. I've no talent in that direction whatsoever, but I do enjoy listening to those that have that sort of tool. Yeah, that must be really cool learning new songs. Enjoy, Broken. Enjoy. Now we'll take that away, and we shall present a screen. This is I Am by John Clare. We'll add that on the stage, and that is looking actually large enough. I Am by John Clare. I am, yet what I am, who cares or knows? My friends forsake me like a memory lost. I am the self consumer of my woes. They rise and vanish, an oblivious host, shadows of life, whose very soul is lost. And yet I live, though I am tossed into the nothingness of scorn and noise, into the living sea of waking dream, where there is neither sense of life nor joys, but the huge shipwreck of my own esteem. and all that's dear, even those I love the best, are strange, nay, they are stranger than the rest. I long for scenes where man have never trod, for scenes where woman never smiled nor wept, there to abide with my Creator, God, and sleep as I in childhood and sweetly slept, full of thoughts unborn. So let me lie, the grass below, above the vaulted sky. Boss, that's a really good call. What I'm going to say about this, just check that this is actually on the screen. It is. Ah, there's Don Brown from Down Under. I've been speaking to Australian people today. Well, one Australian person and one English expat who lives in Australia. Uh, so that's nice. And glad to see you here. And also we have Commander Classified. What about you, chum? Yeah, very good shout. I'm going to talk a little bit about this and my thoughts as I process it. I am, yet what I am, who cares or knows? My friends forsake me like a memory lost. I am the self-consumer of my woes. They rise and vanish, an oblivious host. Shadows of life, whose very soul is lost, and yet I am. This is somebody who is, to put it frankly, in a fucking ocean of shit. And for all other, and really could be dead, is dead to a lot of people because they don't care about it. But yet he is still alive. And because he's alive, he gets more tribulations. Because of all that, all he gets is scorn and noise. And the sea of waking dreams, because you're going through life and nothing makes sense and nothing seems like reality and it's all a dream. But it's not. This is actually your life, but it doesn't make sense. And here at the end, he wants to abide with his creator God. So let me lie, the grass below. This is actually quite an important line because you could think that he just wants to be with his creator in the heaven and the forever. However, when the grass is below you, you, my friend, are alive. There's a faultless sky above you, and there's earth beneath you. You live. It may not exactly be life, but it is existence. And the thing that we must strive to do is turn our existence into a life, and not just a life where we can actually enjoy. Oh, 1 second, I'll get back to that looters. John Clary ended up in a mental asylum. And it tends to think his heart was too gentle for this world. That is, oh, I have a lot of problems with it. I have a different version of it that I wrote. And don't get me wrong, Anglo, for quite the while, I liked that song F. But then I realized that there's a lot of it is about male disposability. and sacrificing yourself on someone else's altar, which isn't great. It isn't great. Uh, oh, yes. During the coup, we all went into a trance-like, dreamlike state and existed without the joy and happiness of a life, because the things that make that possible were denied to us by a state, an all-consuming state that showed its fangs. Now, some people had seen those fangs before, but the vast majority had not. And the vast majority believed that our government was indeed benevolent and was trying to look after us. And a lot of people found out that quite the opposite of that, the government uh, the government is not just quite as friendly as they were ever made out to be. One second, I'm just catching up in the comments. Oh, it was. The government showed their wicked hand and exactly how much control they were willing to exert upon the population. But I will also say that, quite apart from the government, the people that caused most of this, most of the lockdown stuff, was not indeed the government, but was a cabal of civil servants, trade unionists, and uh, supposed community workers that got so very far above their station. One second, I'm reading through this. Ha! The clocks have moved in Australia. I'm not sure when ours change again, but it's going to be soon. And just a 10-hour time difference. Uh, where was that about the borders? Read borders here. The coup closed the borders. They can do it if there's will to stop immigration. No, but here's the thing, Anglo. The coup closed the borders for us. The coup closed the borders for anybody that wanted to go to an airport and fly to a distant land. They just went, yeah, no, you can't do that. It closed them for those who wanted to get on a ship or even walk from one fucking country to the next and go through a port of entry. But it did not close the borders for all the illegal migrants. Really strange that. You can't go there if you're going the legal way, but if you're going the illegal way, just fucking come right ahead. And that in itself should have made everyone realize that this was not about controlling a virus or indeed controlling people. It was about controlling a set group of people. And that is entirely nefarious. Now, what we're going to have a quick look at if here's what we're going to do. Let's see. Let's see, can we find this? Uh-huh. Right. We've got this fine. Ah, the budgie burgers in. What about the chum? Don't forget that our people love the COVID. They begged for the cure. Yeah, they were willing to give up their personal freedoms for safety, and anyone that gives up their freedom for safety will end up with neither. It's just that simple. Uh, yes, Silver Spangle. There was a lot of people that just got way too fucking invested in it, and all of that. Nah, here we go. This is my version of If. This is If, a poem by 42, which takes a lot of inspiration from the Kipling version. We may or may not do the Kipling version of this, we will see. But here's where I went with that. If from the jaws of victory you can gamely grasp defeat, then take an unconquerable army and force them to retreat. If the achievements of your ancestors you can easily cast aside, then take your subjugation and repackage it as pride. If you cast down your own people for another people's gain, while sitting in ivory towers and ignore your people's pain, if you can lambast their outcry when they demand legal protection, then brand the patriots traitors who foster insurrection. If you can do all this and not feel the shame, call them all pawns lost to the game. If your rightful duty you can easily forget, and your people's rights you would willfully neglect, congratulations, you're a Western politician, and I hope your name is remembered for eternity. That's where I went with it. Now, we will have a quick look for the Kipling version. If. Um, yeah, it seems the Portrait Foundation have it. And we will contrast with Kipling's version. Sorry, I'm just checking the comments. Right. Thanks, Anglo. Now, my If was about describing the actions of our politicians. We will have a look at the Kipling version. If you can keep your head when all about you, or losing nerves and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, and make allowances for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired of waiting, or being lied to, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truths you've spoken, twisted by knives to make trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. If you can make one heap of your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve you turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, not lose the common touch. If neither the foes nor living friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with, with, 60, with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And what's more, you'll be a man, my son. Now, let me begin to take this the fuck apart. We will start with a little highlighting of this first verse, or stanza if you are a poetry snob. And let's see what it actually means. If you can keep your head when all about you, or losing theirs and blaming it on you. Now, that's actually a fair comment, because there are situations when everybody's going a bit mad, and it would help if you could keep your head. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, this too is important, because if you know that you're on the right path, you need to not stray from it, but make allowance for their doubting too. Yeah, you do need to make a bit of that. Nah. If you can wait and not be tired of waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies. We're going to change where we're highlighting. If you can wait and not be tired of waiting or being lied about, don't deal on lies. Or being hated, don't give way to hating. Don't look too good and do not look too wise. Now, what this is telling you is if somebody has promised you something and they've said they're going to do it on Tuesday, but that was 3 Tuesdays ago and it's now Monday, and you're not even worried about the fact that they haven't done what they said they were going to do, that is entirely the time to be tired of waiting and time to plan a different way to have that task done by a different person. So you do need to become tired of waiting when it's appropriate. Or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being hated, don't give way to hating. Do you know what? See, whenever people are lying about you and people hate you, it's probably time to find your 2 hind legs, stand up, and make a bit of a song and dance about it, and make sure that people are put right, and find out the truth. And this is where I believe the problem is with this poem, because rightly or wrongly, in my interpretation of it, there's a lot of just accept whatever life throws at you. And to be fair and to be clear, for 25 years in an abusive relationship, I did that and tried to not to look too good or talk too wise, or because that would make the other idiots look bad. And do you know what? While you keep that mindset and while you keep that, you can expect more of that, because everything that you accept that is indeed unacceptable, and it is unacceptable to be lied about and not saying about it. It's unacceptable to be hated for no reason. You need to oppose that. And this poem, I believe, is saying the fact that you put up with all that shit will make you a man. And no, it will not. Apart from anything else, you become a man by being born male and then reaching the age of 18. A man is an adult human male. There are no other qualifications for it. And this bit about taking everybody's shit, making you a man, I disagree with. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, yes, I can agree with that. If you can think and not make thoughts your aim, yeah, because these dreams need to either come to fruition or be dropped off the radar and be replaced with ones that are achievable. So I can agree with that. Triumph and disaster and treat them both the same. No, I do not believe that to be a good point. Because if you've been met with disaster, you need to fix things, you need to change things, you need to change the process that led to that disaster. While where you do something good and you triumph, it is entirely correct to enjoy your victory for a small period of time. You need to do that. If you can bear to hear, yeah, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knives to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop to build them up with worn out tools. Now, those two things are quite different, in my opinion. Yeah, this, where you've said something and somebody totally changes the meaning of it, you need to not accept that. You need to be outspoken and clarify the situation. Because if you accept it, they're going to do it again the next day. People need to know that you will provide clarity to what you say. Yeah, watch the things you give your life to broken, then stoop and build them up with worn out tools. If you've given your life to it, it's probably something you feel passionately about and something that you feel is right and correct. And yes, you do need to build that back again, whether the tools be worn out or not, because that is who you are. But it does not belong with this sentence. It doesn't belong with this bit in the middle, which changes the perspective of it. Make one heap of all your winnings and risk it all in one turn of pitch and toss. See if you can do that. Make one heap of all your winnings and risk it all in one turn of pitch and toss. You maybe need to rethink yourself. Because you don't want to be gambling everything. I'm not going to go through this word by word. If you enforce your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there's nothing to hold on to except the will which says hold on, that is actually something that you may come across in life where that is needed. That is something that if you're wrongly convicted, if you end up in a shitty situation, it wasn't your fault, and you need to try to hold on to yourself in some way or other, that is a good tool to have in your box. But the first half of the verse means don't really give a shit about what you've got because you're willing to just gamble it all on pitch and toss, which is madness. And I'm going to skip the layout line. Yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And what's more, you'll be a man, my son, because And in this version of being a man, you need to be self-deprecate, to allow other people to scorn you, allow other people to talk shit about you, and to accept everything else and just move on like it hadn't happened. And that's really probably not the best idea in the world. You need to set your record straight, because to do otherwise is to invite others to do the same. And that be my thoughts on F. Uh, no. I do not believe the beach stormings were a tip of a coin. Here, Billy, I'll tell you what, I can't ruin your favourite poem unless I found something in it that you didn't, because your interpretation will still be your interpretation. It all seems a little bit too much Jordan Peterson for me. Yeah. Uh, Mr. Blogs, I would hope that whenever you go into a fight or battle, you would have done at least some preparation. Oh, I'm not saying that it's like something Jordan Peterson would have written, because I don't think that he could produce something like that. But it's along his clean your room mantra, accept everything. Uh, but there you go. And by the way, we are all free to have different opinions about this, about any poem. Uh, Anybody thinks that they've got the definitive total understanding of any literature is probably incorrect. You could ask the person that wrote the poem, uh, but having said that, with a whole chunk of poems, the people have only really understood it a couple of years later, whenever they've read it back. Spanish checking this class. I'm sure Rory Herbert stormed the beaches first. I probably did. Traditions never die. Right. And Budgie Burger's favourite poem is a bit too much. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening. I honestly don't know. I just know he's disappeared from the streams. But anything more than that, I have no clue. I don't know why. Ah, the important thing about a light bulb is not how many poems it takes to change it, not how many poets it takes to change it, or even how many therapists it takes to change the light bulb. The big question is, does the light bulb wish to change? Right. That one I don't know. And we are about to look that up. And then after we do that, we are going to have a musical interlude. I'm just going to check this is the right poem. Yep, William Blake, The Tiger. I have that. Yes, the spectrum of light bulbs. But Billy, I would also say change is never good. Ask any light bulb, because the old one generally ends up in the fucking bin. And there we have it. And now we go to The Tiger by William Blake. And I shall get this presented. The light bulb was never asked. Ooh, Lumi's got some poems in his subdeck. Right. Present or invite, share screen. Share screen. The Tiger. Right. StreamYard. Put that up there. I've never read this, so I'm quite interested. Oh, I think I might have. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what a mortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distant deeps or skies burnt the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? And what the shoulder and what the art could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? And what the hammer, what the chain? In the furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, the dread gasp? Dare its deadly terrors clasp? And when the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Or did he who made the lamb make thee? Tiger, tiger burning bright in the farce of the night, what a mortal hand and eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? That is very good. And I had heard at least the start of it. I don't think I'd read the whole thing, but I had heard the Tiger, Tiger burning bright in the farce of the night bit. That is a very good poem, and there's a lot to dig into. And I'm not going to do that live because there's fucking too much to dig into live. I do particularly like this bit. Sorry. When the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? And did he who made the lamb make thee? Is the tiger the work of God? That be the question. I would believe so. Yeah. I can indeed. Mr. Broad James. I can indeed. See the ripples of that in thy work. Nah. Fuck me, we've got the 50 minutes. We're doing well on this Wing and a Prayer. Ah. But is there indeed designed obsolescence? Because I'm of the opinion that most light bulbs fail not through some sort of a problem with them, but by the amount of times that they are switched on. And the element and all of that has got a lifespan, not of the amount of time it can emit light, but from the amount of times it is switched on. And therefore, if one could turn on our lights and leave them on, they would all last for a very, very, very long time. However, we run into a number of problems, such as the cost of the electric being one of them, and the second one being it's hard to sleep with a light on. Although it is possible. I will say that the difference between light and hard is it's a lot easier to sleep with a light on. But there you go. And with that, I'm going to find a musical interlude. And what shall we have? Yep. We will go with this. A little bit of Dreadnoughts. Yeah. Right. StreamYard. Go for it, Anglo. Get that poem written, chum. And Jade will feature that. Right. Musical interlude number 1.
'Tis a damn tough life, full of toil and strife, we whalermen undergo. And we don't give a damn when the day is done, how hard the winds did blow. 'Cause we're homeward bound from the Arctic around, with a good ship taut and free. And we don't give a damn when we drink our rum with the girls of old Maui. Rolling down to old Maui, me boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui. Once more we sail with a northerly gale towards our island home. Our mainmast sprung, our whaling done, and we ain't got far to roam. 6 hellish months we passed away on the cold Kamchatka Sea. But now we're bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui. Rolling down to old Maui, me boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui. Once more we sail with a northerly gale to the ice and wind and rain. Them coconut fronts, them tropical lands we soon shall see again. Our stunsail's bones is carried away, what care we for that sound? A living gale is after us, thank God we're homeward bound. Rolling down to old Maui, me boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui. How soft the breeze through the island trees, now the ice is far astern. Them native maids, them tropical glades is awaiting our return. Even now their big brown eyes look out, hoping some fine day to see our baggy sails running for the gales, rolling down to old Maui. Rolling down to old Maui, me boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui. Rolling down to old Maui, me boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui.
StreamYard will drop that out. Remove. Yes, some things we're going to talk about here. Where is it? Yeah, first one, Anglo. We're going to play that shortly. Now, in a very strange way, English sea shanties did indeed conquer the world. The sea shanty was the thing that kept everything in time when they were hoisting up anchors, hoisting sails up, doing very strenuous work that needed to be everybody to pull at the right time and not push against what was being pulled at. And we used the sea shanties in order to control the rhythm and make sure that the effort was indeed a solid collective effort on the right point at the right time. So sea shanties did have a really large a part in conquering this world and creating everything that the British Empire created. Yes, indeed. They were fueled by rum, and a lot of the time they were also rewarded with rum. If you were on a ship, and even a merchant ship back then, that was coming in contact with pirates, that would have been the first gun crew ready, whenever they were told to ready the crews, would get a tot of rum as a reward for being at their station ready and having things done. So there was a lot of rum fueling all of that. Exactly, and it did keep up morale. It's really another interesting thing. Whenever you see the American soldiers doing their training and their running, and they have that. Yep, that's exactly. The sea shanties did keep morale up. Whenever you see American soldiers on a route map, yep, the cadence. Now, the very famous one, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that is called the Duckworth cadence. And there was a bunch of soldiers writing a route map, and it was a very long and arduous march. And there was one squad that, where all the other squads wilted, they kept going at their steady pace, and they were overtaking other squads and finished up at the front. And in there was a guy called Private Duckworth, and Duckworth, somewhere along the way, had started this 1, 2, 3, 4 thing and getting them to call it back to him. And whenever they looked at the morale and the efficiency of this squad that was doing that compared to all the others that weren't, because this was the first time it was done, one momento, they found that they did really well, and then they incorporated into all of the other branches, all of the other. They started as a normal thing. 1 second, I need to properly cough. So yeah, it's proven that it's proven to improve morale not just at sea but also in route marches. DN, what about you, chum? Welcome aboard. Thank you for coming along. Right. I think we shall have another poem, and I shall dig into the I shall dig into the depths of my previous poems and see what I would like to present. We shall indeed do this one. We'll stop that screen. 4% sure that screen. Sure screen. To fellow travelers, here we go. Back to StreamYard. This is one of mine off the All Poetry site. I think we're going to make this a little larger. This actually, we might have a theme here. We're doing the if, and it's about stoicism and how you get to where you need to be. To fellow travelers, 10-minute concept poem. That means that I wrote this poem in less than 10 minutes. And I started with an idea that I wanted to write a poem about this, and this is what I come up with. I'm actually quite happy with it. One day at a time, that is the mantra, right? In the life raft in a discontent sea, that is also the wreckage, dragging us back to the life raft. Every time we strike out for a distant horizon, we turn back to the turmoil of having only one desire, to make it through today. That tomorrow will somehow bear better fruits than yesterday's effort at getting through the day, because real change is not possible in a day. 1 month at a time is my new mantra. So far, the experiment is resulting in hope. And what I mean by this is, we're all told this, particularly in addiction, particularly in counselling, particularly in anything to do with our psychology. One day at a time, get through today. But here's the thing, because you only attempt to get through today, you do get through that day, but you have made zero fucking progress because you were that busy surviving. You're in a fucking life raft in the sea, and you can't get to the shore in a day, so you don't even fucking try after a while. And so, my belief, my opinion, is that taking things one day at a time, while it keeps you there in existence, which brings us back to a previous poem that was talking about being in a discontent sea and not really living, just existing. If you keep doing that, sooner or later you won't make it through the day, but you'll be in exactly the same fucking point. You'll not have improved anywhere. So what I started to do was look at a month at a time. And by the way, month works for me, because that it should actually be 4 weeks, because what I now work for is one pay cycle to the next. How do I do in the entirety over this pay cycle? Did I pay my bills? Did I put a little bit away? Did I feed myself properly, clothe myself properly, get everything that I needed in that month? Because if you live every day like it's your last or potentially your last, but it's not, what the fuck do you do the next day? Because you've no food in, you don't have clean clothes, you have none of that stuff. So, as much as one day at a time is a tool, it's not a long-term tool. It's there to get you through a small period of crisis, and then you need to get back to looking a little bit further forward, because if you do not, you will not improve. Here be the thoughts of 42, and with that I'm going to have a look. Right. Someday I'll write the poem. It hasn't been written yet. Problem is, the poems are as old as thoughts themselves. But every new poem you write is indeed a new poem. And it may have a perspective on an issue that has not previously been talked about or put into general parlance. Yeah, John's a good lad. John is a good lad. Oh, fuck, boss. My morning steamy drops are poems by themselves. That's a fucking poem in one line. Yeah. Excellent. Right. One second, I'm just checking through the chat. And we shall take this one down. I'm going to have a little look at this and look for this. Yeah. Yep. Now, as Anglo-Saxon pointed out before, this is the same tune and tenure as the Oh My Wee sea shanty. And it is, by God, we'll have a home again. We'll have our home again. Sorry. StreamYard. Add that to the stage. Is it? It is. Right. Here we go.
When there's nothing left but the fire in my chest and the air that fills my lungs, I'll hold my tears and trade my ears for a glimpse at kingdom come. On the other side of misery, there's a world we long to see. The strife we share will take us there to relief and sovereignty. Oh my God, we'll have our home again. My God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. In our own towns, we're foreigners now. Our names are spat and cursed. The headline smack of another attack, not the last and not the worst. Oh, my fathers, they look down on me. I wonder what they feel to see their noble sons driven down beneath a coward's heel. Oh, my God, we'll have our home again. My God, we'll have our home. By blood dark, the way is lost, my eyes they strain to see. I struggle forth to find a friend to light the way for me. Oh, brothers, can you hear my voice, or am I all alone? If there's no fire to guide my way, then I will start my own. Oh, my God, we'll have our home again. My God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. Oh, by God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home.
There we go. That was By God We'll Have Our Home. Yeah. I was thinking earlier about how much smell. Yeah, everybody smell. The persistent washing that we do was not a thing back then. And indeed, Mr. Ludwig, the tree of liberty must be refreshed with the blood of traitors and patriots. And the moral of that, what I read into that, is that your liberty is not a stone monument. It is a living, breathing thing. And therefore, it requires life. And it requires protection. And if you do not protect your liberties, you shall have none. And we have known this for a very, very long time. I'm going to get a picture up of a hill fort. Right. Let us see. Oh, we'll actually talk a little bit about hill forts here. You never know where this goes to. Why is this not fucking showing? Right. 1 second. I'll see if we can find this. Fuck me, that's a YouTube page or Facebook page. That's not going to help. Straight. Right. StreamYard. Yeah. Well, we already have Newspeak, and nothing means what it says. Yeah. Do you know what? I am convinced the only reason they decided to call it a brick card was because of all these flags going up. And they thought, yeah, those dickheads are stupid enough to think if we put the word Brit on it, they'll think this is for us. This is something that's good for us, and we'll get behind it. Will we fuck? Because we also enjoy our liberty, and we do not require to be watched 24/7. And we will not accept that. Yeah, it probably is. Now, where was I? The Overton window tax. Brad, that is fucking class. I like that already. Now, Yep. Share screen. Share screen. Hill Forts. StreamYard. Present that. Yeah, we're going to need to make that larger. Right. Yep. We're going to start from here. That needs larger for the screen. Hill forts are amongst the most striking of all archaeological monuments in England. Their hilltop locations, often massive earthworks, make a very powerful statement to the modern observer about the organisation, manual skills, and labour and beliefs of the Iron Age peoples of over 2,000 years ago. As the name implies, hill forts are defendable places surrounded by one or more circuits of banks. How did I get rid of that? I honestly don't know. Because ridges and spurs and prominence, there are some instances of sites with their own form would be classified as hill forts, which are very low-lying situations. One of the more extreme examples, which has been called the Marsh Fort, were built and occupied during the period of about 900 to right 900 to 100 BC. Though many have been reused since as medieval castles, for instance. We built these fucking things on the top of hills. Went up the top of the hill and we started carving out ditches around them. And then whenever we had one ditch, we put another ditch around that. And of course, there had to be some form of a way of getting in and out of it. So there were gaps to allow that to happen. But those could be defended if needed be at the time. And this shows that for a very, very long time, we have known that we need to come together and create a space from which we can defend ourselves. One second. So this idea of wanting our own bit of land that we need to protect, even from other people in our own country, let alone total foreigners, is very, very old. One second. It's what we've always done. The tribe or the clan would create this area and then they could live inside it in peace and safety. And then the venture outside, possibly to farm, possibly to raise animals, let them graze in highlands or whatever, and bring them back in again. But you need this defendable, protectable home. And you need to be very careful about who you let inside that home. As anyone who is familiar with the walls of Troy and the horse and the Trojan horse, that city fell because they let their own people inside. And they let their own people inside because it looked good to them. And there's maybe an analogy there. Just because something looks like or sounds like they belong within your circle, your defensive perimeter, it does not necessarily mean that they do. And you probably want to fet the absolute fuck out of anybody that you let into your circle. Because we are coming to times when trust is going to become very important. And I don't necessarily mean physically within your circle. I mean your circle of people that you have confidence in. The people that you will allow all of your thoughts and dreams to hear, because there's a hell of a lot of charlatans about, particularly now, and you might want to have a think about this. Anything that you cannot hold and protect is not truly yours. And this is not new knowledge. This goes back thousands and thousands of years. Yep. England didn't begin to come together for, well, in terms of countries coming together, England was very early. But because it's very early, we have a very long history of that. And what we did was we learned to figure out how we all live together. Right. Now. Now, what shall we talk about now? We've done that. One momento. Right. Can we get a picture of Maiden Bradley? We probably can. Let us have a look. Let me do this. Right, let us see. Right. What I'm getting here is pictures of a town. Is that or Spanish chicken, or is there a hill fort at Maiden Bradley? Oh, Maiden Bradley hill fort. Right. 1 second. Fuck me. Yeah. Is this on the screen? Oh, right. Hold on. Right. That's not a picture. That's a fucking drawing. I will. Yeah, I will get a picture of Maiden Bradley hill fort. Images. I don't think that's a picture. I think that's a drawing. Right. Oh. That's on Facebook. We're gonna have to go with this. Yeah, we're gonna have to go with this. I think this is possibly a generator. It doesn't look like a. Not fucking Maiden Castle. Oh, for. This seems to be it. That. What is Maiden Castle? Ah, we've got an actual photograph here. The fort is the top of a large hill, which is about 10 football pitches. Hundreds of people live there. And this is what it looks like from the sky. Yeah, here we go. We've got an actual photograph. You can see the different protective ditches. And the idea of that is it's you'll lose X amount of your people the first one, then the rest the second. They're not going to get over the 3, and you've got lines of defense going in depth. That's more AI. That's more AI. Yeah, it's quite the structure. And the other thing with that is, you picture the amount of people. There's no machinery there. This is all done with basically bits of stone tied on the bits of wood, and you dig that out as best you can, and then you work together as a team. And the more of you there are, the easier it gets, and the more you do it, the better you get at it. And yeah, that's a nice place to have, to be able to get up to whenever you're a kid. That was really good. Fucking sure you are. Right. And now, what are we moving on to? We're 2.5 hours. I think that what we're going to do now is we're going to give another little yep. I think it's about time in the stream that we give us a shout out, and I'll see if I can find the link and stick it in the comments for you. And enjoy this one. Who are ye, in rags and rotten shoes, all dirty and bearded, blocking up the way?
We are English.
We come from the edge of Europe,
Beyond which lies only water,
ice and death.
This is the place we made our home.
Raised our cattle, planted the crops, evoked their gods from circles formed of stone, so those gods could witness us atone.
and Roman forces did invade. We fought as lions, refused to yield, and those we left out in the field, but the English, they were the seed.
Who adversity did propagate, an indomitable people who we would fight, toil and mock in equal measure, and find humour in our adversity, because that is our way. The battle-weary tribes besieged by Vikings,
banded as brothers with Angles, Jutes and Saxons, took some years of consideration
to produce our culture of toleration. The creation of the English nation at Stamford Bridge we won the day, but William was quickly on his way.
1066, the commutation brought the cursed Norman invasion. A ruling class they would impose until calls for Magna Carta arose. And to all the kings the message was sent: you only rule us by consent.
So what of the English, I hear you ask? You know us as the working class, the ones whose toil, blood and sweat brought you the greatest empire yet. So you should learn at your mother's knee of revolutions that number 3.
That number 3. 1, 2, 3.
Agricultural, where mechanised planting and harvesting was married to selective breeding, we created a food surplus, the envy of the world. Industrial, where we conjured cities to house factories inhabited by a well-earned workforce to man the machines. This coupled to the ingenuity of English engineers who never found a problem without a solution. The third, the glorious one, that brought about civil and religious liberty, one rule for all, and the radical notion that a man should profit from his labours. But we are not greedy. We exported our language, our law, our sense of fair play. In our safe shipping lanes trade flows through never-ending day.
And when Britannia ruled the waves,
We used our power to free all slaves. We managed the world and allowed all others to travel in the social order we created with humour in adversity, because that is our way. Achievements we have too many to list. From this small kingdom God has kissed, we travelled the world from the highest mountain to Arctic's Kabatic, tundra and back again. The traces of our kindness are in our railway lines that transport the world to work, our compassion in the water systems that hydrates foreign soil.
We left everywhere better than we found it, because that is our way.
I could list another thing or two, like how we taught the world to queue, but I'll leave that for another occasion. It's time to have a celebration, admire the wonders of our creation. To our ancestors, homage we must pay for doing things the English way. For we are the English, and this is our day.
who are ye? In rags and rotten shoes, all dirty and bearded, blocking up the way.
We are the pilgrims, master. We shall go always that little bit further. It may be beyond that last blue mountain barred with snow, across that angry or glimmering sea. We are the English.
Every Englishman's house is his castle. So hoist your colours on the ramparts for England Day. Then down after St George's Day. We are English, and we'll be patriotic in an organised way.
Turns out I've got stuff to say here. As much as we said about the hill forts and they were only impossible because a bunch of people came together. Also true of the Industrial Revolution. Always, whenever we get together as a group of people with a common interest, with a common goal, we fucking achieve. And that song, the video where everything was put together, it was possible because a bunch of people came together and worked at it, and we got it done. And that's a capability that we have, and that the fact that we have that capability is why the rest of the world is trying to destroy us, because they know that that there is no problem we cannot find a solution to whenever we decide to turn up and work together. They also know how it always goes with English people. We drink some tea and we go, something needs done here. Somebody ought to do something. And we've gone through all of those parts, and you're seeing a lot of this with Raise the Colours, because we went through somebody needs to do something about this, to the point where fuck it, I'll do it myself. And not only are they doing it themselves, they're getting together in groups on their own with no oversight from anybody. They're just going, here, fuck, this needs done, getting a bunch of people together and getting it done. And the problem with that for the woke left is that is contagious. And the more people see little groups of people getting together and doing something, the more they do it themselves. And see out of these groups that are actually doing the shit on the street, I don't mean the people on the stages. I mean the people that are actually on the protests, putting up the flags, doing all that sort of stuff. Pretty soon they're going to realise that the only people that can speak for them properly is someone from within their local group, because that's the person that understands all of their local problems. And you know what they end up doing? Well, they end up going to Reform or Rob Lowe's new party, or possibly UKIP, if it's still a thing, and going to them and saying, here's what it is. This person here, him, her, they speak for us, and we're all going to vote for them, and they're running the next election. Would you like them to run for your party? Because if they do, all of us will be leafleting for them. We'll all be promoting this. But we're going to do that anyway, whether it's with you or whether it's as an independent. Would you like this? And they will fucking bite your hand off. And the thing about it is, the party that they go to, be it Reform, be it Nick Lowe's one, they'll think that because they allowed them to run, that they own them and they can get them to do what they want. But here's the rub of the grain. They will not be able to, because these will be people that came out of the local community, that go back to that local community on a daily and weekly basis, and that know everybody. And they will not come back having done the opposite to what they intended in the first place. And that, my friends, is when politics will turn in a very sharp way. And most of what you're seeing from the politicians at the minute is trying to find a line that they can find acceptable, but is not what we want, and where they can hold us. And the problem that they face is the only reason the left has got the foothold, they've got a fucking bear hug on it, on the discourse and on society at large, is because we didn't turn up, but now we're starting to, and that is going to change everything. You know, people, it is my considered opinion that we are about to be living in interesting let's just say there's a lot of people from my country in your country at the moment, and there's a lot of people from my country getting involved, and we'll see. But dude, you will always be welcome on any barricade I am standing at. And yeah, mate, we are always outnumbered. We can never be not outnumbered, because us Anglo-Saxons, us British, we're a small percentage of the world. We're just better at everybody else. And the other thing is, we've got a very, very strong sense of right and wrong and keeping to the rules and all of that stuff. But you know what? We are beginning to understand that the rules of the game have changed severely. And we are also beginning to understand, as we did just prior to the and during the Industrial Revolution, what made the Industrial Revolution happen was we came to the understanding that in order to win at the game, we had to play by the rules that the other people set. And in order to do that, we need to simply stop taking moral lectures from the left and tell them that we are playing by your rules. This is where you did it in the past. This is how we're doing it now. And no, we will never, ever trust you again. And we will win. Of that, there is no doubt. The Romans came. They went. The Normans came. There's a lot of them still here. There's a lot of them in positions of power. There are all the families that went into government under the Normans and said to, and basically became the ruling class and ran the country. Yep, we are. the Dutch and us are very similar, but so they're not worried because we're going to start playing by their rules and pointing them out to them, and that will make for interesting times. And the Romans came, they went. The Normans came. They're still hanging about like a bad smell. And we have tried to work with them we've tried to work with them since 1066. We've tried to tell them to do it this way, and they've just never listened. And now they're going to have to be made to listen because we have no other choice. And like I say, what would happen to the culture war? People turned up on both sides, and that's what's happening. That's where the change is. Right. Now, what are we going to do next? We are going to do, no, we'll take that out of the studio, and you're going to have they 100% are budgie. They were getting bitten by their own politics. Hold them to their own standards. We may see balkanization to some sorry degree, but an inbred low IQ thug cult is not going to displace even one of the finest cultures the world has ever seen. This is incredibly true. The British Empire never worked by force. It worked on intelligence. It worked on organization. It worked on being the best traders. Basically, what happened with the Commonwealth was we needed to trade, and in order to trade, we needed our merchant ships to be safe. And the only way we could do that, because we were besieged by fucking everybody at some stage or other, Spanish, French, the Russians, they all were trying to impede on us and not allow us to trade. So we had to create the empire to make it safe And whenever we made it safe for fucking everyone. Yeah. Jealousy is a very, very powerful tool. You know, they can't be grateful because they wish to achieve what we have achieved, and they can't because they're not us. And they've tried to copy our methods, and it didn't work because they are not us. And what it came down to was there was a combination of A, the organization, and B, the people that were working together. And whenever they had all the other information and it didn't work for them, it became abundantly clear that the reason why it worked better for us than others is because we had better people who were willing to do what needed done to get the job done, that gave honest trade, that worked on a fair and equitable basis. And because they cannot compete, and the differences is the human characteristics, of course they're going to fucking want to destroy everything that we did, because to do otherwise would be to admit that we are better than them at all sorts of things. And that's where we are. And with that, I'm going to begin wrapping this up. I think we're going to have like 2 outros. I shall indulge myself in yep. I think I shall indulge myself with the where are we? Yeah, the Ballad of Ballard. We're going to go with that for the moment.
This is the ballad from Miss Ballard.
Gets darker. The deeper you go down,
The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who in the name of charity and goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness, for he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. And the finder of lost children.
You only need a light to guide you, and an angel to walk beside you.
a day you go down.
You wanna know the truth, don't you?
I find the evil and the greedy under every turn of rock, where I spit out the truth, the establishment mock. From all sides, I watch the opposition grow, trying to terminate the information flow. But the good book reminds me that I am blessed, protected and guided during every quest. In the valley of darkness, my way is clear. I carry a big stick and I show no fear. So prepare yourself for eternal damnation. In your nest of vipers I found my vocation. Are we so deaf that we cannot hear the screams of the children? Are we so blind that we cannot see? We are living in the depths of depravity. Are we so inept we let monsters roam, fueled on power and adrenochrome? Are we so weak we cannot fight back, beholden
to our masters. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. But blessed is he who in the name of charity or goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. The finder of lost children. The righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. But blessed is he who in the name of charity or goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. The finder of lost children. The rabbit hole. I dare you to go down.
Oh, right. Billy Blogs, why don't we bother to educate the people? I'll tell you why. Because we genuinely thought that these people just needed trained. We thought if we give them a bit of education, a bit of training, that they could make, that India could make, that the Indians could make India work, that Africa could make the Africans could make Africa work. And we thought that if they just got a bit of education and organization, that they could go ahead and make it work for themselves. But what we did not reckon for was we have a high level of honesty in our society with each other. We have low levels of corruption. I know that, yeah, the place is corrupt as fuck, but it's not corrupt as in I'm going to get £1 million to fix a bridge and then slap the bridge together for a couple of £100 and keep the rest, and then the bridge breaks the first time a car goes over it because it wasn't right. We don't have that level of corruption, and we don't have the level of corruption where we are willing to take the money that was meant for providing water systems and whatnot. We don't do that, and that's where our system breaks down with these countries. Oh fuck. Yeah. Well, here's the kicker. We have now got to the point where our elected members of parliament are fucking stupid. And how do we manage that? How do we manage to get to a point where you could walk into any city in England, gather people together in the town square, throw a tennis ball out the window, and whoever hits in the head, be a lot more intelligent than our fucking elected representations. You know, that is an actual real problem that we need to fix. It's probably true. That is probably, I've no reason to doubt that. Well, if we had avoided all contact, they would still be in Africa. They wouldn't know that there was anything outside. But oh fuck. Yep, right. Nah. I'm gonna play Anglo-Saxon and do the Oscar. So video file. I'd like to thank you all for sticking with me this evening. It's been a little bit different. I've actually enjoyed tonight. Right. Yes, that's exactly what I said on Mastermind. Who succeeded Henry who succeeded Henry V to the crown? Henry IV. Fucking lunatic. Right. Here we go. I'm going to play Anglo-Saxon. I'll put your comments up on the screen, and then I shall bid you good night. Hello, you're listening to 42's letter to the Anglo-Saxons. When you spread this message, you are the resistance. The Anglo-Saxon. The Anglo-Saxon shook his head sharply, his hair dislodging droplets of sweat from the back of his neck, the produce of moving a carcass to the workbench. The sharpened blades and cleavers felt natural in his hand. The carcass divided to his will. The Anglo-Saxon's muscle memory was that of a warrior. His body was lost to the toil, but his mind wandered to memories that were not his own. An intruder startled the Anglo-Saxon. However, before him was not the meadows and glades of his ancestors, but a butcher's shop window. While politely serving the customer, the Anglo-Saxon mourned the loss of a kingdom he had never known, of the rituals and customs that were lost long before his grandparents were even born. Outside, the street was a bustle. He knew there were others like him, ones who carried the warrior's pride. Amongst them he would find the rightful place of an Anglo-Saxon. The Anglo-Saxon.
It was not preached to the crowd, it was not taught by the state. No man spoke it aloud when the Anglo-Saxons began to hate. It was not suddenly bred, it will not swiftly abate. Through the chill years ahead, when the time shall count from the date that the Anglo-Saxons began to hate. When time shall count from the date the Anglo-Saxons began to hate.
Okay, everybody. I've been 42. And you lot in the chat have always been fucking amazing. Thank you. Good night. God bless. I'm out of here. Goodbye.